Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei created anime Avengers with Naruto Bell and Izumi movie. Before we start, please go support Fenikusu of Abby's for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Clarifications. 1. This happens after various events which are DxD. After the Trihexa, Issei decides to leave everything so that everyone can live a happy life without his enemies finding him and unleashing the apocalypse in that world. He took out the pieces and the booster gear with a letter that said, "Don't look for me since I have completed my objective in the factions, so I'm going far away to live my life peacefully. I'm truly sorry for this." Then he went to pick up his legendary sword and his legendary revolver and went to take his position as one of the celestial generals. Akame kill. After the death of Tatsumi, he lied since he sent a blood clone in his place. After doing that, he went to collect his legendary katana and his legendary bow, and then resume his position as one of the celestial generals. Daimachi. After the death of Artemis in the movie, I think it was since I do not remember much about Daimachi, only some characters like Hestia Freya A's among others that I remembered when reading the Wattpad fics. Bell decided to take his position again as one of the celestial generals, so he freed himself from Hestia's fauna and went to collect his legendary katana and his legendary pistol and left Oreo not without first leaving a letter that said, "Sorry, but I have a very important matter to attend to. I may never come back, but go on with your lives. Do it for me. This is not goodbye, it's see you soon." Naruto. After the death of Jiraiya and killing Pain, he decides to take back his position as one of the celestial generals, so he left a note that said, "Do not look for me, please. I have a very important matter to attend to, and it is not with Sasuke. It is something that you will not be able to understand, but I tell you to live your lives. Do it for me. This is not a goodbye, it is a see you soon." So then he let Kurama out. Here he gets along very well with him, like brothers, they love each other. But when he did, a very beautiful girl came out, but he already had a girlfriend, so he left her a note that said, "You are free, Kurama. Now you can enjoy all the time that was unfairly taken from you, and do not worry, I will not tell anyone that you are a very beautiful woman. This is not a goodbye, it is and see you soon." So he created a wooden cabin in the middle of the forest in a place practically impossible to find. Then he went to pick up his legendary katana, his legendary pistol, and his legendary sniper rifle, and went to resume his position as one of the celestial generals. BNHA. Izumi, Izuku Fem. After the war against the villains, after waking up from his coma, decided to leave so that everyone could have their peaceful lives, but not before killing all the villains on the planet with his legendary sword and his legendary revolver, and went to resume his position as one of the celestial generals. 2. When the friends of the boys of their dimensions find out, they will be in a great depression, more the girls who loved the boys, or in the case of Izumi, team of the celestial end, Shoto Todoroki, who entered a great depression. 3. The boys' dimension friends did not betray them, they just decided to stay away from them so they could live a peaceful life without problems. 4. Issei / Bell / Naruto / Izumi / Tatsumi are my OC, they are not others, so you know who they are, go to my OC. 5. The girls in Shoto, upon finding out that they have a partner, got so angry that they became a headache. 6. Those who will bring the cast will be my son Ash and his partner Shogun Raiden, or Ei as she likes to be called, and they will show them the stupid things they did as missions, as some wraps of some events that happened. As an example, Tatsumi, who saw the first woman he loved died before his eyes, and the wrap will be this. 1. This happens after various events which are DxD. After the Trihexa, Issei decides to leave everything so that everyone can live a happy life without his enemies finding him and unleashing the apocalypse in that world. He took out the pieces and the booster gear with a letter that said, "Don't look for me since I have completed my objective in the factions, so I'm going far away to live my life peacefully. I'm truly sorry for this." Then he went to pick up his legendary sword and his legendary revolver and went to take his position as one of the celestial generals. Akame kill. After the death of Tatsumi, he lied since he sent a blood clone in his place. After doing that, he went to collect his legendary katana and his legendary bow, and then resume his position as one of the celestial generals. Daimachi. After the death of Artemis in the movie, I think it was since I do not remember much about Daimachi, only some characters like Hestia Freya A's among others that I remembered when reading the Wattpad fics. Bell decided to take his position again as one of the celestial generals, so he freed himself from Hestia's fauna and went to collect his legendary katana and his legendary pistol and left Oreo not without first leaving a letter that said, "Sorry, but I have a very important matter to attend to. I may never come back, but go on with your lives. Do it for me. This is not goodbye, it's see you soon." Naruto. After the death of Jiraiya and killing Pain, he decides to take back his position as one of the celestial generals, so he left a note that said, "Do not look for me please, I have a very important matter to attend to, and it is not with Sasuke, it is something that you will not be able to understand, but I tell you to live your lives, do it for me, this is not a goodbye, it is a see you soon." So then he let Kurama out. Here he gets along very well with him, like brothers, they love each other. But when he did, a very beautiful girl came out, but he already had a girlfriend, so he left her a note that said, "You are free Kurama, now you can enjoy all the time that was unfairly taken from you, and do not worry, I will not tell anyone that you are a very beautiful woman, this is not a goodbye, it is and see you soon." So he created a wooden cabin in the middle of the forest in a place practically impossible to find. Then he went to pick up his legendary katana, his legendary pistol, and his legendary sniper rifle, and went to resume his position as one of the celestial generals. BNHA, Izumi, Izuku Fem, after the war against the villains, after waking up from his coma, decided to leave so that everyone could have their peaceful lives, but not before killing all the villains on the planet with his legendary sword and his legendary revolver, and went to resume his position as one of the celestial generals. 2. When the friends of the boys of their dimensions find out, they will be in a great depression, more the girls who loved the boys, or in the case of Izumi, team of the celestial end, Shoto Todoroki, who entered a great depression. 3. The boys' dimension friends did not betray them, they just decided to stay away from them so they could live a peaceful life without problems. For Issei/Bell/Naruto/Izumi/Tatsumi are my OC, they are not others, so you know who they are, go to my OC. 5. The girls in Shoto, upon finding out that they have a partner, got so angry that they became a headache. 6. Those who will bring the cast will be my son Ash and his partner Shogun Raiden, or Issei as she likes to be called, and they will show them the stupid things they did as missions, as some wraps of some events that happened. As an example, Tatsumi, who saw the first woman he loved die before his eyes, and the wrap will be this: the arrival and assassination mission. In a movie theater where everything was very quiet, but out of nowhere a portal opens where they come out. DXD, the Gremory and Citri retinue, the Vala team, the faction leaders, Ingvild Leviathan, Rise Vim Lebanon Lucifer, Mio, Fem Dragon, appearance of mine, Mira, Albion 5, side appearance, all the goddesses of DXD, Akame J Kill, Night Ride, even the dead. Why? Because yes, and that's it. V, the Jurgers, same as the Night Ride ones, hosted, I will torture him in the worst way possible, ha 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 ha. The Emperor, this shitty kid. V, Naruto, the Konoha 11, the Kages, Hagoromo, the previous Hokages, Minato and Kushina, Sasuke, Satsuki, the emo Avengers sister, appeared from Satsuki, Kurami, female Kurama, Kurami's appearance, Madara Uchiha, the boss trick buddies, Hashirama Senju, the idiot who makes drama XDD, Daimachi, the Hestia families, the family place, the family is new, the Hermes family, Zeus, because yes, Hera, same as Zeus, Sagebrush, Alphia, the really hot MILF, or am I lying? The Mika family, I think it's written like this. If you don't judge me, I don't remember much about Daimachi. V, Uranos, the Xenos, Rakia, I think that was her name. Can you please tell me what she was like? Ares, ha, Class 2A, Class 2B, the top heroes, all for one, Inc. They all hit their heads but got up quickly, but looked at their enemies and said, Alliance, Risevim. They shouted in a fighting pose, Risevim, factions. The old lesbian shouted, this is the fighting pose, Night Ride Capital. They shouted in a fighting pose, Capital, Night Ride. They shouted in a fighting pose, Schedule, Rikia and Ares. They shouted in a fighting pose, Rikia and Ares, Orario. They shouted in fighting pose, Heroes, AFO. The heroes shouted in fighting pose, AFO, a pleasure, gentlemen, he said with coolness, manners make the villain XDDD. Before everyone started fighting, everyone was tied to the chairs in the movie theater without being able to move so that the screen would turn on. Inside the screen, an abandoned factory was seen where people were seen making weapons with nuclear energy. Off screen, AM. Are they crazy or what? He said, surprised by that. Valley. I agree with the muscular man. That is very dangerous, said the silver-haired man, also surprised. Everyone was surprised by that because those weapons will be very dangerous. Inside the screen, when they were going to do another one, the sound of a shout was heard outside. The guards went to see, but the doors flew against them. So when the smoke cleared, you could see 5 people, 4 boys and 1 girl, that the BNHA Naruto and Daimachi recognized. Off-screen, BNHA/Naruto/Daimachi, Izumi/Naruto/Bell. They shouted, surprised that they were there. The others were surprised that they knew them, but someone spoke up. Rias, do you know him? The redhead asked doubtfully. Ochako. We to Izumi, She is our classmate who, when she woke up from a coma after the War of Heroes and Villains, she disappeared and left us a note telling us not to look for her, that she had something very important to attend to, and after a week it was reported that all the villains on the planet died because of one person. Even the bald potato face from there, explained to Momochi, pointing to Afo, who had a marked vein on his forehead, and made AM laugh at how he said to Afo, "Tsunade. We Naruto, since he saved the Leaf Village after Pain destroyed it, but after that he disappeared and left us a note that also told us not to look for him," said Tsunade. Kurami, yes. And he also freed me and left me a note saying that he was letting me go to recover all the time I lost because of the walking tree there, Kurami said, pointing at Hashirama, who had a depressive cloud because of what she called him, and Madara laughed at him. Hestia. We Bell, or as we call him, the White Rabbit, since he doesn't understand the insinuations and because he is very innocent, but after the death of Artemis he disappeared, and he also left us a note that said not to look for him, that he had something very important to attend to, said the goddess of Bell. Everyone was surprised by this, but they kept quiet to keep watching. Inside the screen, Chief Thug, "Damn the heavenly generals, everyone shoot," he said, and shouted for everyone to start shooting at them. But they moved so fast that they could only be seen as flashes of different colors. One dark brown, Issei, another crimson red, Bell, another green one, Izumi, another golden one, Naruto, another light brown, Tatsumi, so that all the thugs fall without their heads, leaving only the leader, who was scared. "Last words, idiot," said a brown-haired man with a black revolver in his hand, pointing at his head. Chief Thug, and don't kill me please. He didn't finish saying why his head was blown into thousands of pieces. "Damn, Issei, you didn't let this idiot finish," said another brown-haired man with a drop of sweat on his neck to the one known as Issei. "Issei, I would only ask for mercy like all of us who killed Tatsumi," said to the one known as Tatsumi. "Izumi, well, let's go outside and destroy the place so we can stop using these weapons that no one can have," said the green-haired girl seriously. "Naruto, how badly I wanted to continue having fun killing those who remain," Naruto said sadly. "Bell, X2," said the rabbit, also sad. "Issei, X3," Issei said in the same way. "Tatsumi, X4," said the same. "Izumi, seriously, you guys are lunatics," she said with a drop of sweat on her neck. So they left, and Issei shot a scarlet-red sphere that destroyed the entire factory along with the weapons, and they left from there. Off-screen, everyone was in shock about that, especially those from DXD, because Issei would never kill in cold blood. But two voices said the following. "Wow, Issei still has the touch of never showing mercy to scum," said a male voice calmly. "I mean the pampering," a female voice says calmly. Everyone looked where the voices were to see two people, a boy and a girl. The boy had white hair with one golden eye and the other emerald blue eye, wearing a black and dark blue fighting suit. And the girl had purple hair with purple eyes. Her hair was tied in a band that reached her waist, and she had an outfit of the old girl that highlighted her figure. Everyone was surprised by the power they released, but Zeus, Daimachi, spoke. "Zeus D, excuse me, but can you tell us who you are?" The bag of bones asked seriously. "Oh, excuse our manners, my name is Ash Destroyer, Apocalypse Chaos, the God Prince, Celestial Emperor of the Gods and Legends. A pleasure, gentlemen," said the white-haired man, bowing. "Nice to meet you, my name is Shogun Raiden, but you can call me I am the Goddess Princess Empress of Eternity and Lightning." "Nice to meet you, gentlemen," said the purple-haired girl, bowing. Everyone was in shock, especially the gods, since they are the highest-ranking gods after the Heavenly Emperor King gods. But Ei spoke. "Ei, and they are here because we saw that they were very depressed to know that the boys left without saying anything, but they returned to take their positions as the celestial generals of the army of the dimensions," Ei said calmly. Everyone was about to have a heart attack because they knew who the celestial generals were. They were the highest ranking in that army, since if they wanted they could dominate all dimensions in a matter of minutes, but Ash spoke. "Ash. Also, they should return because otherwise their partners would look for them and take them to their mansions so they can take back their positions," said the white-haired man calmly. Everyone was blank, but the girls who loved them and Shoto were angry, but before they say anything Ash spoke again. "Ash, before you say anything, tell me, did the boys give you some affection or love?" he said with a smile. They were going to say something, but they didn't say anything because when they talked to them they only responded seriously and sharply. They didn't know why, but now they knew they had a partner, but still they wanted them for themselves, and Ei spoke. "Ei, now they realize it's true, they never loved them, they only saw them as friends. But over time they decided to return to their old attitude, and what they just saw was their true attitude with those who tried to make chaos in the world. But with their partners they are kind, affectionate, overprotective. In the case of Issei, Bell, Naruto and Tatsumi. But they are a little crazy, the four of them along with Izumi's partner. When they are in their free time or when they are bored, they make a huge mess, I said calmly but ultimately angry about it. Everyone's eyes widened at that, but Akame spoke up. Akame, AGK/Akame GA kill, can you show us what they did please? Asked the Akame of that dimension with interest in the stupidity the boys are doing. Ash, okay, we'll show you what they do when they're bored or when they're in their free time, Ash said with a smile at what they'll see. So everyone looked at the screen that turned on to show what they do in their free time or when they are bored. The mess the kids made. Before they could start watching the screen, a portal opened, and out came a black-haired man, but his hair was like eternal night with one emerald green eye and the other emerald blue eye, with a metal mouth cover, with a black and purple suit, with a black shirt with metal fasteners, black pants, fingerless gloves, and black boots. It was me, Alessandro, Destroyer Apocalypse Chaos. Ash, hello father, what are you doing here? The white-haired man asked doubtfully. Nothing, I just wanted to come here because I had nothing to do, I said calmly. Everyone had a drop of sweat because of that, but the others wondered who I was except the gods, who were very scared because of that. But someone spoke arrogantly. Sasuke, who's the emo? Said Sasuke arrogantly. But out of nowhere a pressure made everyone fall to the floor, and they saw that in my hand appeared a black sword with a bit of red that gave off a monstrously large dark power, but at the same time a light, also monstrously large. It was Dark Excalibur, the older sister of the original Excalibur. So I disappeared in a black flash to appear in front of Sasuke, and cut off his head without a shred of mercy. Everyone was scared to death, but Satsuki was crying for the death of her brother, but I snapped my fingers so that the emo Avenger would resurrect with a face of horror and speak. Next I'll send you to the depths of Tartarus, you brat. I said, so my eyes changed to a pattern that Naruto's knew, and they were shocked by that, plus Satsuki and the emo. Satsuki, excuse me, but could you tell us how you have the Sharingan if it's not too much trouble? The black-haired girl asked with doubt but with astonishment. It's no bother, miss, and since I have the Sharingan, it's because I have an ability that allows me to copy all the skills and techniques from all dimensions regardless of whether they are from a lineage. I can copy it as if it were nothing, I said, as if it were nothing. Everyone was shocked when they heard that, but I spoke. And what were you doing, Ash? I asked with doubt. Ash, we were about to see the mess the kids make when they're bored or when they're in their free time, said the white-haired boy with a smile. That made me smile, but it couldn't be seen because of my mask, and I spoke. Well, if that's it, can I stay? I asked doubtfully. Everyone denied it, referring to it as if there was no problem, so I sat down on a chair where I was, who greeted me. I returned the greeting, and we saw the screen that started to play a video. Inside the screen, a bank could be seen all calm, but out of nowhere an explosion made the doors fly off to see the boys minus Izumi with their fighting suits. Issei in his fighting suit, Bell in his fighting suit, Naruto in his fighting suit, Tatsumi in his fighting suit. But they were not alone with them. There was a blonde man with honey-colored eyes, I think. His hair was in a braid that reached his waist, his clothes were like those of royalty, and some gloves. Off-screen, all the women who loved boys were blushing and a line of blood coming out of their noses, but someone spoke up. Bakugo, who is the blonde guy in royal clothes? The legged bomb asked doubtfully. He is Izumi's partner. His name is Luis. Pacific Lucifer, I said calmly. But everyone's eyes were wide open. He had Lucifer in his last name. But a green-haired religious woman was praying at the speed of light, making the DXD demons lie on the floor, dying of pain. But Ei threw a purple lightning bolt at the green-haired girl, who was electrocuted and fell unconscious to the floor, and spoke. Ei, I really hate those who pray to God just for hearing something related to demons, Ei said, releasing purple rays from his body. Everyone was scared, but Ash hugged her to calm her down, which he did since Ei blushed so much that she made Rias's hair look ridiculous, and even smoke came out of her ears, and Ash spoke. Ash, you don't have to get mad about that, honey. You know how she is, Ash said with a loving voice. That made Ei blush even more. Who spoke? Ei, Baka said to put her face on Ash's chest so he wouldn't see her blush. Everyone was moved by the scene they were seeing, but a scream said the following. That's my son, a real girlfriend with his wife, ha 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 ha, I said with pride of Ash. That made the two separate with a blush on their faces. Everyone was laughing at how the two reacted, but Ash spoke. Ash. Well, let's see what the boys and Lies are doing in their free time, he said with a blush to sit down like Ei, who was the same as Ash. Everyone nodded and looked at the screen. Inside the screen, Issei. Let's go quickly before the cops come, Issei said as he runs into an alley. They all followed him to find their vehicles. The issue, Bell's, Naruto's, Tatsumi's, off-screen. Those who knew about those cars were with their jaws on the floor because the boys' cars were buggies. But what they didn't know was confusing. but I snapped my fingers so they would receive all the information about those cars. There they were surprised. Inside the screen, Luis, how much time do I have to go with you? The blonde asked doubtfully. Issei, you'll go with me and you'll drive so I can shoot the cops following us, Issei said as he gets into the passenger seat. Luis nodded and got in to drive, so everyone got out, but when they did they saw the cops in front of them, but Belle took out a pirate-type gun and shot at the cops' cars so they melted like jelly. The gun that Belle took out, off-screen. Everyone was surprised by that, but the most surprised were those of Daimachi because Belle never told them that he knew how to use ranged weapons, but Hera, Daimachi, spoke. Hera, wow, I didn't expect that from my grandson, said the surprised goddess. Ale, yes, since I taught them to use both melee and long-range weapons, because you shouldn't only be one type, since it can be a weakness against those who use another type of weapon. If you use a sword, those who use a bow or a firearm will find it easy to kill you, he said calmly. Everyone nodded at that, since if you use one type of weapon you won't be able to kill someone who uses another type of weapon, as I said, so they looked at the screen. Inside the screen, they left at full speed. Issei was shooting at all the police cars he saw with his revolver so that they would explode with a shot from the revolver. Off-screen, everyone was surprised by the power of the revolver, but Azazel spoke. Azazel, how is it possible that a revolver can make a car explode with one shot? Said the leader of the Fallen in surprise. Hey, that's because his revolver is classified as a legendary revolver, in fact the most powerful of all, and its name is Black Shadow, and it is so powerful that it could destroy Jupiter's moon with one shot, he said, remembering that moment. Everyone was blank because with just one shot he could destroy Jupiter's moon, but Ash spoke. Ash. And that's not even 3% of the shot's power, he said as if it were nothing. Everyone was more blank, that's why he didn't use 3% of the power of the shot, and he could destroy Jupiter's moon. They didn't want to know how much destruction he could cause if he used 100% of a shot, but they looked at the screen. Inside the screen, Tatsumi. Guys, we have to get to the mansion quickly because otherwise the girls will kill us, said the scared brunette. Everyone else got scared by that, and went faster until they reached the forest, but they went another way, so they arrived at a big mansion with a big pool with many turrets, and a force field covering the whole mansion. The mansion of the Celestial N-team, the turrets, and the force field. Imagine it is 15 times bigger. The turrets are 100 million on each side of the mansion, and the force field has 40 layers. Off-screen, everyone was left with their jaws on the floor because they lived in a big mansion next to the turrets, and the force field they had, and Momo spoke. Momo, your mansion is bigger than mine, said the brunette, very surprised. Ale, yes, because I gave it to them because they had nowhere to stay, and that was a long time ago, I said calmly. Everyone was more than surprised by that, but they didn't say anything else and looked at the screen. Inside the screen, the boys got out of the buggies and went to the mansion. When they entered, 5 flashes of different colors went to them. One was green, Izumi, who went to Luis. Another was white, who went to Issei. Another yellow one that went to Naruto. Another black man who went to Belle. And another light blue one that went to Tatsumi. The girls, they're back, said the girls happily. Issei, yes Lupin, I'm back after that mess we made, he said nervously, hugging a blonde with honey-colored eyes wearing white clothes that showed off her well-formed body. Belle, same here, Mona, he said, hugging a black-haired woman with gray eyes, 2 braids, a somewhat large magician's hat, and purple and black clothes that showed off her body. Naruto, yes Jean, we had some inconvenience but we came quickly, he said, hugging a blonde with a ponytail and cyan eyes, I think, a mini cape with white clothes. Tatsumi, yes Ganyu, we had to do it quickly to come here, he said, hugging a light blue-haired girl with 2 black horns and red, white, and black clothes that showed off her good body. Lupin, seriously Issei, you guys are never going to change, she said, letting out a sigh but putting on a smile. But that's what made me fall in love with you, she said, to give him a kiss on the lips. Mona, there's no way you'll change. But that's what made us fall in love with you, said the magician, to give Belle a kiss. Jean, there's nothing to worry about anymore since Yuri here said to kiss Naruto. Ganyu, they didn't have to do it quickly but that doesn't matter, he said, to kiss Tatsumi. Izumi, the same as them, Luis said, to do the same as the girls but with Luis. Izumi's fighting suit. Off-screen, all the girls who loved the boys were releasing a dark aura, but Shoto was releasing a heat compared to hell that scared all the men except me, Ash and Ei. On the other hand, the men had a blush but the perverts had a level 90 nosebleed on the girls' bodies, especially on Lupin and Izumi. But someone spoke. Mineta, could you please tell us the names of those women? Said the pervert, wiping his nose. Ale, it's okay. The blonde who hugged Issei is called Lupin Pacific Lucifer, Luis's twin sister. The magician who hugged Belle is called Mona Asterius Asmodeus. The blonde who hugged Naruto is called Jean Arson Leviathan. The heavenly film that I hugged Tatsumi is called Ganyu Samuel Beelzebub. And so you know the boys' real last names are Issei and Chaotic. Belle's is still Crannel. Naruto's is Uzumaki Namikaze. He didn't change it at all. He just put on his father's. Izumi's is still Midoriya, but he has another one which is Apocalypse. And Tatsumi's is Hell, Sparta, Ao. Those are the girls' names and the boys' last names, I said calmly. Everyone was in shock about that, but Rizvim was planning how to have those girls so he could have strong offspring, but Ayash appeared in front of him, and put his hand in his chest to take out a blood-red sphere and spoke. Ash, don't tell me you don't know that my family can read people's minds, and I read yours and saw what you were thinking. That's why I'll do this, he said, showing the sphere. You'll wonder what this is, right? I asked everyone who nodded. This is simple, it is Rizvim's soul, he said calmly, but the others except me and Ei were in shock by that, so I will do that, he said while his hand was with purple flames burning Rizvim's soul, who was burning with the same flames, and so you know these are the flames of purgatory that burn even the soul, so Rizvim will not go to hell or heaven, will only go to the depths of purgatory where the most powerful beasts of all dimensions are that my family controls completely. He said with a smile, so that Rizvim's soul burns completely while Rizvim's body disappeared without leaving anything or the ashes left. Everyone else was surprised and scared by that since his family controls purgatory completely. Now look at the screen that is about to end, he said to go to his chair next to me and Ei so that everyone looks at the screen, inside the screen. So they stopped kissing and went to take the money they stole from the bank to enter the mansion, and they went to a room where there were millions of safes where they left the money in one of the safes. But Lumen spoke. Lumen, how come there are millions of boxes here, she said with doubt, looking at the millions of safes that were in that room. Izumi, that's because we put a spell on this room so that it has infinite space no matter how many things they put here. This room will never be full, the green-haired girl explained calmly. Off-screen, everyone who used magic was very surprised by that, but someone spoke up. Valley, I have to learn that spell. It could be useful to save valuable things, said the silver-haired man, surprised. All those who used magic agreed with Vala that this spell would be very useful to protect their valuables. But they continued looking at the screen. Inside the screen, the girls nodded at Izumi's explanation, so they and the boys left and went to do their normal things. And then the screen turned off. Off-screen, Ale. Okay, now go to sleep. I already made rooms for you, I said, making two doors appear, one blue and one pink. The blue one is for men and the pink one is for women, and if any pervert looks at women I will send him to be raped by demons with Hicks over 900 cm, understood? I said with a calm look, but with a purple aura with scarlet red coming out of me. All the perverts were scared too much, the women were grateful for that. So everyone went to sleep and I talked. Ale, Ash, are you seriously thinking about bringing the boys with the girls? I asked, surprised since he told me while we were looking at the screen. Ash, yes, since they asked me to come and apologize to them for disappearing out of nowhere, Ash said calmly. Also, I plan to put something from the past of one of the boys, he said with an evil smile. Hey, and which one will you put, honey? The purple-haired girl asked with doubt, but excited by that smile. Ash, I'm thinking about Tatsumi when he lost his first partner, or the trio of Issei, Belle and Naruto when they were pretending to be demons from the world of the 7 deadly sins, I explained calmly. Ale, I say the one from Tatsumi's past since he is sincere when it comes to his past, I said, since he told me his entire past, and then he puts on a video where the girls sing something since the boys don't know that when they are not at home they sing to waste time, I said with a smile, because I like to screw with the girls. I agree with you, father-in-law. That could be interesting, I said with a smile. Ash, okay, now let's go home since it's very late, he said, since it was 12 at night. Me and Ei nodded and went to our house/mansion to rest. Tatsumi's Yuta passed and what girls do when boys aren't around. Everyone was waking up to go take a bath, brush their teeth, have breakfast and put on clothes. Then they went to the movie theater where Raiden, Ash, and I were, and Ash talked. Ash, okay guys, go sit down because we have a surprise for you, he said with a smile. Everyone sat down doubtfully but listened. When they sat down, Raiden spoke. Raiden, well guys, the surprise we have is this, said the purple-haired girl, so that the guys from the Celestial End team and their partners could enter the room. The boys, hey guys, how long, they said with a smile. DXD Issei. All DXD members shouted to go hug Issei, who gladly accepted the hug. Daimachi, Belle/Rabbit/Bunny/ECT. I don't remember what they said to Belle XD. Said those from Daimachi's world to go hug Belle except Rikia and Ares, who were scared by the look they were given, which said, when this is over you're all dead, damn it. Then he put on a smile to accept the hug from the families, but when he looked at Artemis as Zeus and Hera he shed a few tears because of that. Naruto, Naruto/dove. Said everyone from Konoha like the other nations and Sasuke, who was angry that Naruto had a girlfriend before him and a very beautiful one. Akame ga kill, Tatsumi/child. Said all of Night Ride to go hug him. 6 said the Empire with hatred, but a look from Ganyu scared them a lot since they could see a giant demon behind her with eyes red like blood itself. Nha, Izumi/brat/shiny. They all said, but Bakugo launched himself at her, but she pulled out a sword with a black blade with a little yellow and red that made fire, and gave him a cut that made a fire phoenix that went against Bakugo that left him injured with burns. The sword that I draw, Izumi. Customs never change, she said, letting out a sigh so that her sword becomes fire that entered her hand. Everyone's eyes were wide open because of that technique, but Issei spoke. Issei, don't be so cold with your childhood friend Izumi. It's not like I wanted to kill you. After all, no one can kill us, Issei said calmly, being hugged by Lupin, leaving the DxD girls very jealous. Izumi, oh yeah, right, at least my clan didn't want to kill me like they did you, Issei. Izumi said mockingly at that. Issei, just the part where he sits XD. Everyone had a drop for their behavior but one. Madara said. Madara, look, Hashirama is like you, the kid. Ha 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 ha, said the fighting addict Uchiha mockingly. But a great murderous intent appeared in the room. Everyone looked at Lupin, who approached Madara so that a black sword with dark red appeared in his hand, and he spoke. Lupin, did you say something wrong, you son of a hitch? She asked with a distorted, unearthly voice that scared the men so much that they were scared shitless. The weakest ones fainted, in Mineta and Denki's case. Madara didn't say anything as he could see how thousands of souls were behind her screaming in agony and suffering, but something happened that no one expected but that made the DxD girls jealous. What happened was that Issei hugged her from behind so that the killing intent would disappear, and a Lupin so red that it surpassed the hair of the Uzumaki and Rias by far could be seen. But Issei spoke with a voice that made her blush more. Issei, come on, honey, you don't have to be so upset about that, Issei said with a loving and serene voice. She blushed even more at that and spoke. Lupin, Baka, she said with her face all red, and she let out smoke from her ears. All the men were looking at Issei with so much respect that we got on our knees in respect. That made the women shed a sweat, but the DxD girls were so jealous that they were releasing their auras, until they couldn't stand it anymore and launched a combined attack on Lupin. But she only said something that surprised the gods. Lupin, full counter, she said to cut the attack so that the combination would come back against the girls, but 5 times bigger than it was before. The attack gave the DxD girls a smokescreen. When the smoke screen dispersed, you could see the girls with serious, even mortal, wounds. But Raiden twirled his fingers so that they would be healed and stand up to look at the look of hatred and disappointment of Issei, who spoke. Issei, there's no point in talking to you guys about attacking my girlfriend, just stay away from me. Issei said, disappointed in his childish behavior, and went to sit with Lupin on his lap. The DxD girls were crying about it. Instead, their acquaintances were disappointed in them but spoke. Well, leaving aside what happened today, you will see a part of Tatsumi's past, I said calmly but sadly for what happened. Everyone was surprised by that, but Tatsumi was a little sad about it, but Ganyu took his hand to give him a smile that made him smile too, making the Night Ride girls jealous, but they did nothing because they didn't want the same thing to happen to them as to the DxD girls, and they looked at the screen that lit up showing a video. Inside the screen, some emotional but slightly sad music began to play. Off screen, everyone was confused by the music, but out of nowhere a voice was heard that said the following. Inside the screen, since we were little, so happy in our love. You could see a young Tatsumi boy with a red-haired girl with blue eyes. Off screen, everyone was surprised that Tatsumi had someone before Ganyu, but someone spoke. Nagita, can you tell us who the girl with Tatsumi is? The Night Ride leader asked doubtfully. Raiden. Her name is Mia Reveria Infernus, a member of the Infernus clan founded by Infernus, the God King, Dragon Emperor of Darkness and Destruction, one of the children of the former God King, Celestial Emperor of the Dragons, Bahamut, who left the position to Ael's friend Natsu Dragneel, I said, showing a hologram of a salmon-haired man with black eyes and a mark on his shoulder and fire on his fist. Everyone was surprised by that but didn't say anything else to watch the rap. Inside the screen, that ring would mark us both. Tatsumi, who had a ring on his hand, could be seen with a smile like mine. Off screen, everyone was surprised by that but paid more attention to the screen. Inside the screen, until that day, the accident happened, and the promise became a curse. Tatsumi could be seen who saw Mia die in front of him, but a pink-haired girl with 4 blood-red eyes appeared in front of him, and said something that no one heard and gave him his hand so that from Mia's corpse a lion with golden rays with yellow stones and 3 tails came out to give a ruby, off-screen. Everyone was in absolute shock, but someone spoke up. Hosted. What the hell happened to the girl? This fat shit screams in fear. Tarsumi. That's because I made a deal with the king of curses Sukuna, who is the one who appears. In exchange for being able to make friends, he revived Mia. But it was not as I expected since he revived her as one of the most powerful beasts in the dimensions, Tatsumi said, shedding a tear for that. But Ganyu hugged him, causing him to start shedding more tears for that reason and cry in silence. We all looked at him with pity because the shot backfired, but they continued looking at the screen, inside the screen, and I could never control her. I couldn't talk to the rest because their jealousy and possession acted out. I know it's my fault now. I want to end this, even if my death has to be paid for. An older Tatsumi could be seen who was in a lonely place, but some bullies appeared, but a minute later only one came out badly injured by Mia, Leon. And then Tatsumi could be seen in a closed room with a lot of sealing papers, and he could be seen in a chair looking at a person whose face they could not see. Off screen. Everyone was in shock, that's why he tried to commit suicide. That made Ganyu hug him tighter and talk. Ganyu. I don't want you to die, Tatsumi, please, said the little girl, shedding some tears for that, and Tatsumi hugged her to calm her down. Everyone looked at Ganyu with pity except the girls from Night Ride, but they looked at the screen again, inside the screen. But Alessandro taught me how to destroy Apocalypse Chaos. That there are many boys in the world in my situation. Even if the doubt remains, here I will find help. No matter what happens, you'll do better with company. I could be seen talking to Tatsumi, and he looked at the ring he gave to Mia and then saw him walk to his room to look at the ring again, and then put a picture of a panda. A black-haired girl with glasses and a white-haired man with a scarf covering his mouth, and me with a smile like Tatsumi. Off-screen. Everyone was surprised that I talked to him without getting hurt, but they saw that I said he wasn't the only one who suffers in the world, but what surprised them the most was that he had made friends on his team, but mine spoke. Mine? Can you tell us who they are? The Tsundere from Night Ride asked with doubt. Ash, they are Tatsumi's old team, but they are all now in other different teams helping the recruits while Tatsumi does assassination missions, infiltration, etc., etc. Ash said so that everyone nodded in surprise at that but looked at the screen again. Inside the screen. I have to be strong. I must be able to prevent it from harming more people. Even though they were young, they proved to be brave. They accepted me even though I was someone different. The boys could be seen talking to Tatsumi and he got up to stand next to them, off screen. Everyone was happy about it but someone spoke. Leon. I'm happy that you can be happy, Tatsumi, said the blonde with a smile looking at Tatsumi who wasn't paying attention. He was just with Ganyu on his leg talking about trivial things that made her jealous like the girls from Night Ride, but they did nothing and looked at the screen, inside the screen, and that's why I have to help them. I swear I'll get better, but for now, mine, come out now. The girl with glasses could be seen grabbing Tatsumi's shirt with an angry explosion, and how he lets Mia out so she can finish off the monster that devoured them. Off screen. Everyone was a little upset at first, but when they saw that I let mine out, they got scared because I killed that monster without any compassion. The weakest ones felt like vomiting and they saw that I snapped my fingers so that some metal buckets appeared in front of everyone so that the weakest ones vomited into the bucket. After a few seconds, everyone looked at the screen. Inside the screen, I tried to commit suicide. She didn't leave me. I wanted to put an end to the situation, but I decided to move forward in search of a solution. I'm Tatsumi and I. You could see how Tatsumi tried to commit suicide many times, but they were failed by Mia. But then Mia could be seen in the hospital looking at the window being seen by a child Tatsumi, and then Tatsumi is shown with a determined look and full of determination. Off screen. Loki, Daimachi, and it seems you got it, right? The goddess Loki asked with doubt. Tatsumi. Yes, I got it now. Every weekend I go to her grave to visit her and let her know that I'm okay, said Tatsumi with a smile that made the Night Ride girls blush, but they saw that Ganyu kissed him on the lips and he gladly returned it. That made them very jealous, but they didn't say anything and looked at the screen. Inside the screen. Chorus. I have always carried a dimensional curse, lifting the weight alone of love. You being here was my mistake. I'm sorry, Mia. Because I have always carried a dimensional curse. Our connection was special. From little to old. We will always be you and I. Off screen. Shoto, you have to admit, the chorus is very good, even if it's a little sad, it's very good. Said the plot so that we all nodded, even those of the Celestial End team with their partners along with me, Ash and EI. so that we look at the screen. Inside the screen, I am determined. I'm going to undo the curse that has consumed me for so many years. Tatsumi could be seen training with a black-haired woman with one blue-red eye and the other greenish-red eye wearing a black and purple outfit with a katana teaching her how to use the katana. Appearance of the girl. Imagine that you have one blue-red eye and the other green-red eye. The suit he wears, and the katana he uses. Off-screen. Everyone was there except me. Issei and the boys with their partners were surprised by the girl's sword handling since she seemed to have no blind spot, but Akame spoke. Akame, AGK. Her hair is like mine, she said, surprised by the resemblance. They had the only difference were their eyes. Everyone looked at them closely, and she was right, and they were very similar. Ale. That's because it's like saying it. She's your daughter, I said directly to leave everyone except those who knew in shock, but she's not your daughter with Tatsumi. She's my daughter with the Akame of this dimension, I said, making a hologram of an Akame but with white and red clothes, without murals. Everyone was in absolute shock because they were practically the same, but one had black clothes and the other had white clothes. But you could see the maturity in her face because she was like 30 years old or more. That Akame and spoke. Ale. This is one of the reasons why Tatsumi treated you a little better than the others, since he knows the Akame of this dimension, who is one of my wives, and the girl you are seeing is my daughter with her. Her name is Kurumi, Destroyer, Apocalypse, Chaos, the Goddess, Princess, Celestial, Empress of Darkness, and Joy, I explained and said, calm but serious. Everyone nodded at that, but someone spoke up. Minato, a question in the rap says that for so many years consumed. How many are there? Asked the yellow lightning of Konoha with doubt. Tatsumi. Approximately 1,000 years, he said, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. But everyone except those who knew about it were frozen. Why Tatsumi lived more than 1,000 years, but Hagoromo spoke. Hagoromo, how could you live for so many years, young Tatsumi? Asked the sage of the six paths in amazement like everyone else. Naruto, not only him, but the whole team, our partners and the family, destroy Apocalypse Chaos since they are the creators of all dimensions. We were born 100 billion years ago, but our appearances are those of 16 or 17-year-old teenagers, said Naruto with Jean on his legs. Izumi, what Naruto said, since that's why we have much more experience than everyone here, since we fought against very powerful beings that were in the multiversal or multidimensional range, since our power range is on par with the gods, heavenly emperors. But we prefer a low rank since we don't like to show off our titles, Izumi said and explained on Luisa's legs while the aforementioned caressed her hair. Everyone hearing that went so white that they looked like a ghost, but hearing Izumi's explanation almost gave everyone else a heart attack except for me, Ash, Raiden and the guys from the Celestial End team along with their partners. But Bell spoke. Bell. But when we were born we had a normal childhood, but we had such an advanced intelligence that we knew we had a power that equals the gods, kings, and heavenly emperors. But even so, the five of us together can't against Ale, since he has experience of more than 100 trillion light years since he was born, long before the dimensions themselves. But let's leave that aside because I want to see how the rap ends. He explained and said, Bell with a monkey on his legs. Everyone was even more surprised by that but nodded and looked at the screen. Inside the screen, channel your energy into this katana, and train many days in a row until you can handle it. And I know that with this power, I can still do good. In jiu-jitsu I know I will succeed. He could be seen with a katana as black as the night itself while he moved his hand across the blade so that a kind of golden flame appeared on the blade, but then making a movement with the katana it disappears, and then showed a scene where he was dodging golden rays from an old man with a big nose and appeared behind him, and cuts him, killing him. The katana I use, off-screen. All the gods. The katana of Nemesis. Shouted all the gods, surprised because a teenager has the katana with which the giant of Supreme Chaos Kazuma was killed. Bet you know that katana. I don't see anything special about it, said Kiba's lost brother, Naruto. Freya, Daimachi, that katana was the one used to kill the Supreme Chaos Giant Kazuma, said Freya to the bed flea. Everyone except me, Issei, and the boys with their partners were left with their mouths on the floor because they knew who that giant was. He could bring chaos to all dimensions. But one day it was notified in all dimensions that he had been killed by the wielder of the Nemesis katana. That frightened the gods so much that if they met the wielder of the Nemesis katana they would respect him for that. Tatsumi, yes, I have the Nemesis katana since she chose me as her wielder. But let's continue looking at the screen, please, Tatsumi said calmly so everyone would look at the screen. Inside the screen. But if you decide to attack the boys, I am not responsible for what happens to you. Then I can't let you hurt my friends. Even if a cat comes screaming, it's lost. Goddess of curses, come with me. And the following. With the cursed power I say, die. You are facing a dimensional category. If you enter here, you will not come out. Let's do this until we win. And let it be our final battle. Tatsumi could be seen fighting against a black-haired man in a dark blue kimono who cast many curses, but they were able to kill him. Off-screen, everyone was surprised by the battle Tatsumi had, especially to see how synchronized he and I were, but they continued watching. Inside the screen, Mia, thank you for being by my side and protecting me. Ours is already pure love. My future, my body, my heart are yours. We will be together forever. Tatsumi, I loved you so much. You were by my side. You showed pure love. You broke the curse. You're great, I assure you. We will be together forever. Tatsumi could be seen caressing Mia, and then she makes lights to go to heaven, but not before giving a smile to Tatsumi, who was crying because of it. Off-screen, everyone was commissioned by such a scene. Tatsumi was shedding some tears. That's why Mia's farewell still hurt him. But Ganyu kissed him with much love. He reciprocated the kiss. After a second, everyone saw it by the Night Ride girls, who were very jealous. But they didn't say anything else. They looked at the screen. Inside the screen, I have always carried a dimensional curse, carrying alone the whole weight of love. You being here was my mistake, I'm sorry, Mia. Because I have always carried a dimensional curse. Special was our connection since, smaller to bigger always. It will be you and I. Rap ends. Off screen, everyone was clapping for the song, but they were very sad for what Tatsumi had to go through, but they spoke. Ale. Okay. Now we'll see what the girls do when the boys aren't in the mansion, she said with a smile. That made the girls nervous because they would discover their secret that they sing, but they just sighed and looked at the screen that turned on again. Inside the screen, you could see the girls in the room calm, but Lupin spoke. Lupin, girls, are we going to sing? The blonde asked doubtfully. The others, come on, we're bored, they all said at the same time, taking out a drop of Lupin for that. Off-screen, everyone had a drop for that, but the boys were surprised by that because they didn't know that they were singing, but they paid attention to the screen. Inside the screen, the girls entered one of the rooms where many musical instruments of all kinds could be seen. So each one went to an instrument, and Lupin was at the microphone. Off-screen, all the girls who love boys, I'm sure she sings very badly, they thought mockingly towards the blonde. But they didn't know that the boys were reading their minds and just denied it out of jealousy, and looked at the screen. Inside the screen, Jean, which one do we play, girls? The Sword Empress asked doubtfully. Mona, I think. Princesses don't cry, suggested the magician. They all agreed with her, so they started touching her. Light, boys, they're handsome and strong, but always the first to tell me I'm wrong. Boys try to tame me, I know. They tell me I'm weird and won't let it go. No, I'm fine. I'm lying on the floor again. Crack door, I always want to let you in. Even after all of this shit, I'm resilient. But it's weighing me down. No, I'm fine. I'm lying on the floor again. Crack door. You're only going to let them in once, and you won't come undone. 'Cause a princess doesn't cry, no. A princess doesn't cry, no. Over monsters in the night. Don't waste our precious time on boys with pretty eyes. A princess doesn't cry, no. A princess doesn't cry, no. Don't cry, oh. Don't cry, don't cry, oh. 'Cause princesses don't cry. I'm fine. I won't waste my time. Keep it in a jar. Gonna leave it for the next one. Yeah, I'm fine. I won't waste my time. Keep it in a jar. Gonna leave it for the next one. Don't cry, oh. Don't cry, oh. 'Cause princesses don't cry. Don't cry, oh. Don't cry, oh. Don't cry, oh. 'Cause princesses don't cry. When they were about to play again, the boys came back, so they left everything as it was before and went to greet them. Off screen, the girls were very embarrassed because their partners were hugging them with much affection, plus Issei with Lupin for her beautiful voice. Instead, everyone else except me, Ash and Raiden were surprised by the girl's beautiful voice, but Ei spoke. Raiden, well, that's all for today. Better go to sleep, please. The purple-haired girl asked everyone to nod so they could all go to their rooms, and the boys, me, Ash and Raiden, we stayed to talk about what to wear tomorrow. Naruto, I say we put Issei's past since his song is God, the blonde suggested, so that we all agree with him. So we went to our mansions to sleep for tomorrow. Issei's Gojo, past, unexpected arrival, and some crazy girls. Everyone was waking up. They did the same thing as the other day and went to the movie theater where we were, Raiden, Ash, and the boys with their partners. But there was someone else. A girl of my same age, snow-white hair, emerald green eyes, and a very developed body for her age. My OC's appearance is about 18 years old, since that's how I have my maximum power. But she gave off the same aura of power as me. Ale. Hello everyone, before I start, I'd like to introduce you to one of my wives, Kami Destroyer. Apocalypse Chaos, I said with a smile, but it couldn't be seen because of the mask I was wearing. Kami, it's a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, said Kami, making a mini bow, but everyone didn't say anything because the men were fainting from how beautiful Kami is. That made all the women like me and the boys, break out in a sweat, but I snapped my fingers to wake them up and Ash spoke. Ash, okay people, now we'll see Issei's past, so please sit down. Ash asked everyone to sit and watch the screen that turned on. So a video appeared on the screen. A very good rock-type song started to be heard. Off-screen. Men, we're off to a good start, said all the men with a smile, drawing a drop of sweat from the women who looked at the screen. Inside the screen. Since I was little, they wanted to kill me but they never succeeded. And look how much effort they put into it. A child Issei could be seen fighting against many adults, but he killed them without a hint of mercy with a sword as black as darkness with pink and white shining. Off-screen. Everyone was surprised by that, but more than that they tried to kill him. When he was a child that made them furious. The men wanted to kill those wretches because for them it was something so cowardly that what they do is considered faggots. That's why they were releasing their auras of their respective powers. On the other hand, the women were not angry. That is to say that Mineta Denki, Zeus, Daimachi, Azazel Odin, among others, were not perverted. They had a gloomy face, especially those from DxD. Since he was there, Issei, who was fighting to survive, his mental health is rapidly deteriorating, especially when they see Issei with Lupin. The same thing happens with the others, except with Akame, since she has already accepted that Tatsumi only sees her as a friend, nothing more. But they continued looking at the screen. Inside the screen, an infinite power worthy of living in dreams. They were amazed as they frowned. You could see Issei's eyes shining in a very beautiful silver color. Off-screen, all the DxD girls who loved Issei got a level 200 nosebleed because he was so handsome. But Lupin had a cute blush while a few drops of blood came out of her nose. All seen by Luis, who was thinking about something. Luis, tonight Issei you'll come out dry buddy, he thought, looking at Issei while the aforementioned felt a great shiver all over his body and looked sideways at Lupin, who had a very small and almost unseeable lustful smile. He knew if something provocative came out of him, she would fall to lust completely. He just prayed that that wouldn't happen. F for Issei who will come out dry for Lupin people. Inside the screen. It is me who already has the 1000 chaotic eyes. Sole member of the chaotic. You could see how his eyes became more silver, and then gave a view of little Issei, who was so tender that the coldest woman in the world would faint from his tenderness. Off-screen. All the women except Belle's couples, Naruto, Tatsumi, and Luis, fainted because of how cute Issei was as a child, but more because of his silver eyes. But Lupin, before she hit Issei, grabbed her like a princess and kissed her so that she woke up with a hyper mega ultra atomic blush, that is, redder than the most beautiful red in the dimensions XDD, and spoke. Lupin Baka! I screamed so loud so that all the girls wake up and look at how Lupin is. That made the DxD girls plan something to kill her, but a look from Issei with very bright but at the same time threatening silver eyes scared them all, so they decided to leave that for later. On the other hand, the men except Issei were looking for something on the floor, and we talked. The men except Issei have seen my homosexuality. I think I dropped it, said all the men, to get a drop of sweat out of all the women. But Mona, Jean, Ganyu, Izumi, and Kami told us that they would help us get it back at night, but they told us in a whisper so that no one would hear them. But all those who had improved hearing heard them and became very jealous except Akame, who was calm. But the gods, upon hearing the only member of the chaotic, were in shock because it was the most powerful family after the Destroyer Apocalypse Chaos, since those two families are related because I created them along with the Apocalypse and Destroyer, since I also created them. But of the three, the chaotic are the strongest, but they decided not to say anything, to look at the screen. Inside the screen, win the largest territory. I do them all myself. Issei could be seen in the middle of space and then shown to have faced billions of enemies to escape unharmed from there. Off-screen, everyone except the celestial generals and their partners. I came across Ash and Raiden. Their jaws were on the floor. That's why there were thousands of billions of enemies and he defeated them alone. That was something practically impossible to achieve. But Madara spoke. Madara, how long did it take you to defeat them, kid? Asked the Uchiha ghost, amazed by that. Issei, 1 full month, and at that time I was in a team of masters that were divided into different levels. I was on the last level of difficulty, since my training is like being in a galaxy completely stranded there without being able to move, he said calmly but proudly in brown, but was surprised by a kiss from Lupin, who was starting to get excited because they were his partner. All seen by the DxD girls, who were losing their sanity more and more. They were at 40% to go completely crazy, but they looked at the screen to continue watching the video. Inside the screen, Death came to speak to me and I said no. I escaped his attack with inversion. There is an infinite void between the two. It's you and me. You could see Issei fighting against a black-haired man who killed him. But he came back from hell because they were afraid of him, and he beat the black-haired man up and then killed him with a shot to the head with Black Shadow. Off-screen, everyone except the Celestial Generals with their partners along with Akame, Ash and Raiden were with their eyes wide open because they literally kicked him out of hell for fear of him. But then they got a little disgusted because he made a big hole in their side. But they kept looking at the screen. Inside the screen, war is serious business, don't be fooled. Once you go and discover it, many back out. In such a corrupt world, no one tells the truth. Many dead are shown on a battlefield completely in silver flames, and then a few survivors retreat with trauma from the war among other things. Off-screen, Issei. And it is true the war only brings misfortune and suffering to people, but that is what we enjoy, destroying the enemy that tries to bring in the end of everything, he said sternly to receive the assent of his teammates and the war veterans, since they know how it feels to lose a loved one. And Lupin took his hand, resting her head on Issei's shoulder, but he took her in his arms to put her on his legs that blushed the blonde but made her smile to get comfortable on his chest, all seen by the DxD girls who were losing their sanity much more. They were at 10%, one more, and they would completely lose their sanity, but they looked at the screen. Inside the screen, you fight without heart, and someone has to teach you. Chorus, easily, I can defeat them. If Sukuna ate all 20 fingers, I would defeat him without blinking. That is the truth. I must not even doubt. The world is calm if I am here. Why I am chaotic. You can't against me. Chaotic. I easily get the kill. If you're a dam, get out of my sight. Between you and me, there is an infinity. I'll take your head off and play football. With the sensei respect? Chaotic. There is an infinity between the two. It is pure reality. Off-screen, Momo. I have to say that the chorus is a little arrogant, but it's very cool, said the brunette, so that we all agree with her, and we continue watching. Inside the screen, there's one thing I don't understand about curses. That when I confront them they always shout, curses. Issei and touch me because I know what he wants. Because what a man. You could see Issei fighting against a dwarf with one eye, but his head is like a volcano, but when he tried to touch it he couldn't. But after that a scene was shown where Issei without the upper part of his clothes, showing his well-worked body. Off-screen, all the women except Belle's couples, Naruto, Tatsumi and Luis along with Kami and Raiden, had a level 900 nosebleed and fainted because of it. But Lupin had a very lustful smile and looked at Issei with predatory eyes, and Issei spoke. Issei. Shit was what he said before Lupin took him to a soundproof room where time passes faster. They entered there, then 2 minutes passed where everyone was awake, but before they asked for Issei and Lupin, a door appeared out of nowhere where they came out, but Lupin was with trembling legs that blushed everyone because you could notice something going down her crotch, but they didn't say anything, but that made the DxD girls completely lose their sanity, but they didn't do anything. They will still do it after the video. So everyone looked at the screen, while Issei healed Lupin with light energy, so when they finished they looked at the screen again. Inside the screen, I give them their proper place. What? I don't care about Sukuna and I never will. Yuji is calm if he is with us. They will not heal from my blows, nor will they heal. Domain extension, Lost Galaxy. Off screen, everyone was surprised by that technique, but I spoke. Ale. Before you asked, the domain extension technique is very powerful because no matter what you do to dodge it, you will never be able to dodge an attack when the domain extension technique is on. So you know, the boys' domain extensions are very powerful, but they don't reach mine's ankles. I explained and said calmly, but everyone was more than surprised because that technique is very powerful but at the same time dangerous. But the DxD girls were thinking about how to use them to kill Lupin without being able to escape. But they stopped thinking about that to continue watching the video. Inside the screen, they don't want me to fight and they try? But that spell doesn't last long. On. The roles are reversed, and now I'm happy. I invest in white and black is gray. On. A pink-haired girl with black eyes could be seen with Issei, but it changes to one where Issei destroys a force field as if it were nothing and then appears next to a guy who destroys his arms and legs and then creates a white sphere and then another black one and joins them to create the gray one, and then launches a large gray sphere that destroys everything in its path. Off-screen, everyone except the other celestial generals and their partners, Yokami, Ash and Raiden, were with their jaws on the floor due to the destructive power of the attack that Issei used, but they didn't say anything because of Issei's threatening look, but a kiss from Lupin calmed him down, which made the mental health of the DxD girls almost destroyed. But Nine looked at the screen. Inside the screen, let the next one pass. It's easier when you're the strongest heavenly general. You could see countless enemy soldiers being killed by Issei, who was covered in blood, and he created a huge explosion out of nowhere that destroyed everything in its path. Off screen, Belle, well, He's not lying about that since he's the strongest of all of us, said Bell to receive a nod from the other members of the Celestial End team. Artemis, Bell-kun, can you please tell us how they are classified in power? Artemis asked with curiosity like the others. Ale, well, I tell you Artemis, the Celestial Generals are like that. 1 Issei Chaotic, the Celestial General of Chaos and Hope. 2 Bel-Cranel, the Celestial General of Conquest and Heroes. 3 Tatsumi Infernus Sparta, the Celestial General of the Absolute Hells and Devils. 4 Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the Celestial General of Ninjas and Assassins. 5 Izumi Midoriya Apocalypse, the Celestial General of Justice of Life and Death. Ale. And do not be confused because that is how it is due to its power and other qualities they are different. For example, in intelligence the first is Izumi, then there is Bell, then Tatsumi, then Issei, and finally Naruto. Or in shooting range the first is Naruto because he hit a target more than 700 billion kilometers away with a single shot, while the others did from 10 million to 20 million kilometers away. Seriously explained to everyone who was with their mouths open for that plus Naruto's. Because the blonde made an impossible shot, but they put that aside and looked at the screen. Inside the screen, the sensei, who kills when you don't even see him. And to know it you don't have to be a psychic. Chorus, I can easily defeat them. If Sukuna ate all 20 fingers, he would beat him without blinking. That is the truth. I must not even doubt. The world is calm if I am here. Why I am chaotic. You can't against me. Chaotic. I easily get the kill. If you're a damn, get out of my sight. Between you and me, there is an infinity. I'll take your head off and play football. With the sensei respect? Chaotic, SI chaotic. There is an infinity between. Both are pure reality. Rap ends, off screen. Everyone was about to applaud, but a lightning bolt went to Lupin, but Issei threw a crimson-red sphere, and everyone looked at the DXD girls who had a very big smile of madness and obsession, but Tatsumi said something that surprised everyone. Tatsumi. Domain extension. Gates of the absolute underworld, Tatsumi said, so everyone could see that the place changed to some doors behind which there were thousands of screams of agony and asking for mercy, but some chains caught the DXD girls and Tatsumi spoke. Tatsumi. For attacking Issei's partner they will be taken to absolute hell where the cowards, the arrogant, the perverts who went too far with the spear, the womanizers, those who try to take advantage of women and the rapists are, and they will spend all eternity there watching Issei live his life with Lupin, he said with an evil smile, so that they are dragged so that the doors of absolute hell close. Everything went back to normal, but everyone was in shock at such a domain extension, but I spoke. Ale. Okay. Everyone go to your rooms please, I asked politely for everyone to nod, so everyone left, but I came with Ash Raiden and the boys with their partners stayed in the living room to talk. Mona, what are they showing tomorrow? The magician asked doubtfully. Ash, we will put the mission with you so you will see that you are not weak as they think, he said with an evil smile. That we all also put one like that. So we all went to our mansions to sleep for tomorrow. The mission of the girls and Luis. Everyone was waking up to go do the same thing as the day before. So when they finished they went to the living room, but when they saw something that made them sweat a drop. What did they see? Well, it's simple. They saw Issei and Bell arm wrestling and the other kids were betting, Tatsumi, on Issei and Naruto, and a green-haired guy with emerald green eyes just like Izumi, wearing a brown trench coat with a chest protector, dark blue pants, and boots that reached his knees were betting on Bell, the boy, the suit he wears. But the girls hit us on the head, but a black-haired girl with emerald blue eyes wearing a black trench coat with a blue-green tip with tight pants that highlighted her legs, a shirt that showed her navel and showed some of her breasts, hit the green-haired boy on the head and spoke. The girl, the suit he wears. Izuku darling, don't bet money again because otherwise you'll go to sleep on the couch, said the black-haired girl seriously, scaring the green-haired girl known as Izuku, who spoke. Izuku, understood Ino, said Izuku to the woman known as Ino, who laughed and kissed him on the lips and reciprocated the kiss like the others with their partners. That made the sanity of the girls who loved the boys hang by a thread, but Raiden spoke. Raiden, wow. They've already come, she said, looking at the gods as leaders of the factions, as top heroes like AFO, as Kages, Hagoromo, Madara, and Hashirama, and others, so that the boys look at them and greet them. They returned the greeting, but the girls did it with a blush that made Mona Jean Ganyu jealous, and they hugged the boys possessively that made the girls who were releasing their auras very jealous, but Cammy released hers that surpassed them by far and spoke. Cammy, You are not going to fight here. If you are going to fight, do it somewhere else, said the white-haired girl seriously, making a portal to a combat arena. Enter there, and you can fight without anyone stopping you, said Akame. It would be to receive a nod from the girls so that they enter except Lupin, since the DxD girls are in absolute hell, and the Akame of that dimension because she got along very well with Ganyu. She loves her like a sister, and Ganyu too. So the portal closed and Ino spoke. I'll call my daughter Ino, OC, and I'll call Naruto, N, to distinguish them. Ino, OC, well, let me introduce myself. My name is Ino Asami, Destroyer Apocalypse Chaos, the Goddess Princess, Celestial Empress of the Sun of Blood and Tranquility. A pleasure, gentlemen. My daughter Ino said, bowing, leaving everyone surprised except me, Kami, Ash reigned, and the Lumen boys, and Izuku, who spoke. Izuku, nice to meet you. My name is Izuku Midoriya Apocalypse, the leader of the Apocalypse clan and the Heavenly Emperor God Prince of Heroes and Villains, he said, bowing, surprising everyone even more. But before the heroes launched themselves against him, Izuku spoke. Before they launched themselves against me, I am the one who created the heroes and villains so that there is a balance between good and evil, because otherwise it would be the end of all time, Izuku said seriously, looking at the heroes with such a serious and icy look that their blood froze from such a look. But Izumi spoke. Izumi, brother, there is no need to do that, Izumi said to Izuku, who nodded at his twin sister's request. But what she said shocked the BNHA people, but she spoke. Yes, he is my twin brother. Why does he make me the princess of the Apocalypse clan? But I do not care, even though my partner is the leader of the Lucifer clan, but that does not matter to me. I love him, she said seriously, hugging Luis, who hugged her too. That made Shoto jealous already. Bakugo. Yes, Bakugo himself was jealous of Luis for having Izumi, since he wanted to have her as his wife, but when he found out that she was with Shoto he got very angry, but did nothing because he let her be happy. But when he found out that Luis is his true partner, he got angry 200 times worse, but he was holding back to kill Luis, but he will do nothing at the moment. But Ash spoke. Ash, well, now we will see a mission of Lumen, Mona, Jean, Ganyu, and Luis, since many here believe they are weak, but I will tell you that the 5 of them are the leaders of 8 most powerful clans in all dimensions, only surpassed by the Chaotic Apocalypse Destroyer clans and the Destroyer Apocalypse Chaos clan, the founding clan of all existing clans, since those of that clan are all gods, kings, heavenly emperors, he said and explained, so that everyone is more than surprised, plus those of Naruto. Since Naruto's partner is a clan leader, that angered Sasuke excessively, since he should have that woman as his wife, but he did not say anything since he decided to see her power. So everyone looked at the screen that turned on. Inside the screen, you could see the girls and Luis on some very peculiar horses. Lumen's horse, the monkeys, Jean's, without the glass around it, the Ganyu, same as with Jean's, Luis's, off-screen, the gods, impossible, they are Sorium, Hypnos, Christina, Primal Crystal, and Lion. All the gods who were there said scared, so that everyone else except those who knew about them were surprised that they know them and are afraid of them. But someone spoke. Sasuke, do you know them? Asked the emo Avenger, surprised that they know horses and are afraid of them like the others. Hagoromo. You will see Sasuke, the black unicorn with his hair like fire, is Solarium, the fire unicorn. The horse that looks like a dead man is Hypnos, the horse of dreams. The black unicorn with his hair like the rainbow is Christina, the unicorn of the crystals of light. The other black unicorn with purple crystals on its body is Primal Crystal, the primordial horse of crystals and gems, and the black horse like the eternal night with light and bright green is Lion, the horse of eternal night. Each one is very powerful, capable of shaking an entire planet, because they are from the clan of legendary mystical and primordial unicorn horses, one of the most powerful animal clans, being that they are in the second place of the most powerful in the kingdom of invocations, since they are the steeds of the Lucifer / Beelzebub / Leviathan / Asmodeus / Infernus / Arisen / Chaotic / Uzumaki / Namikaze / Asterius / Samos / Pacific / Kranos / Destroyer and Destroyer clans, Apocalypse Chaos. That is why they are the most feared and powerful of all the clans. Not even the Uchiha Senju or another clan of our dimension reaches their ankles, explained the Sage of the Six Paths with great seriousness, leaving everyone surprised what they did not know about that clan, but leaving a depressed Senju but 2 Uchihas, a dog with fleas, angry about it. But the angriest of the 2 was Sasuke, since even the Naruto clan has steeds for the members. But he began to create a plan to conquer Jean, but stopped thinking about that. To look at the screen. Inside the screen, Lumen. Okay guys, can you tell me what we have to do? The Pacific clan leader asked those who were with him. Jean, from what Ale told us, we have to kill a renegade devil who escaped from Tartarus, said the leader of the Arisen and Leviathan clans seriously. Mona, can you tell us what the devil looks like? asked the leader of the Asterius and Asmodeus clans, hesitating. So Luis made a hologram of a snow-white demon with no eyes, with very long horns, claws in his hands, and a chilling yet disturbing smile. Off-screen, the boys and Izumi, "Ali, we want an explanation for this." They shouted, very angry, releasing their auras that scared everyone except my Kami, Ash, Raiden, Ino, and Izuku for what I said. "Ale, I'll tell you. You were on a mission in another dimension, so I had no choice but to send the girls and Luis, and they accepted the mission and went to where the renegade devil was," I explained, being strangled by Izumi, who was with an aura of death that scared me, but Luis hugged her to calm her down, which he achieved after giving her a kiss on the lips that made her blush massively, making Rias and the Uzumaki's hair look ridiculous. That made Shoto and Bakuga very angry, but they did nothing. And looked at the screen. Inside the screen, Ganyu. "So the blind snow demon will be a little difficult to find but not impossible," said the leader of the Samuel and Beelzebub clans. But in front of them appeared the blind snow demon throwing ice stakes, but Jean took out a sword with stones of different colors, one red, another purple, another yellow, another orange, another green, and another blue on the blade to cut the air to create a portal that absorbed the ice stakes so that it closes. Off-screen, "The gods! The sword of infinity!" shouted all the gods, who were there surprised and very scared by that sword, leaving all the others except those who knew about that sword surprised why they are afraid of a simple sword with gems on it. But someone spoke. "Finn, why are they afraid of him? It's just a sword with some gems and nothing else?" The captain of the Loki family said unimportantly. Everyone else who didn't know about that sword agreed with the dwarf, but Hermes Daimachi spoke. "Hermes Daimachi, Finn, that is known as the Sword of Infinity because with just a simple cut it can destroy more than 100 million multiverses or do other things. With the red gem it can alter reality just by touching the tip of the blade to the ground. With the green gem it can stop time just by touching the bottom tip of the handle. With the purple gem it can take away the power of any living being that has a simple superficial wound on the skin. With the orange gem it can take away the soul of a living being just by touching it. With the blue gem it can travel to any part of the dimensions without restrictions. With the yellow gem it can control the mind of a person, and can also destroy them mentally." The messenger god explained with great seriousness to leave everyone who did not know about that sword in absolute shock because that simple sword is so powerful. But an emo was thinking how to have that sword like Jean, but stopped thinking about that to look at the screen. Inside the screen, "Blind demon, Sword Empress, I will have your head on my trophy wall." The blind demon shouted to launch himself at Jean, but a celestial ray stopped him and looked at Mona, who had a book floating in her hand. "Mona, oh, the Whitey is angry with Jean for being humiliated a long time ago," said the destroyer of the purple lightning mockingly. That enraged the blind demon, who launched himself at her to kill her, but a sword with a bright scarlet red blade cut one of his horns. Off-screen, "Searchers, that is the sword of the 1,000 red moons," said the Mao Lucifer in shock, so that everyone who didn't know about that sword would be surprised by it. But someone spoke. "Kiba, Naruto, do you know that sword?" Naruto's Kiba's flea asked with doubt. "Searchers, that is known as the sword of the 1,000 red moons because it has the power of the 1,000 red moons. Moons as red as blood, capable of bringing a night as red as blood to 1,000 dimensions as if nothing had happened." The Siscon Lucifer explained to everyone so that they would be surprised by it. But they looked at the screen. Inside the screen, "Luis, what happened to your big horn?" the white lightning asked mockingly. This enraged the blind demon even more, but he was pierced by thousands of arrows. He turned to look at Ganyu with a bow that gave off a very great power of nature. "Ganyu, what happened, friend? Is that all from the great blind snow demon?" asked with doubt. The celestial demon made the blind demon even more furious, who, regardless of the pain, launched himself against Ganyu. But a black sword with dark red pierced his chest to look at Lumin, who was behind him. "Lumin, this is as far as you go, blind demon. See you in purgatory," she said with a sadistic smile so that Jean could cut off her head while the purple gem shone a little but enough to be seen, and Jean spoke. "Jean, it would be best to leave here, but first let's burn the body of the blind demon," said the Empress of the Sword seriously to receive the assent of the others. So they burned the body with flames of purgatory to leave nothing, and they left on their respective horses/unicorns, and the screen turned off. Off-screen, everyone was surprised by that, but a portal opens from where girls who loved the boys with serious injuries come out, and then Mona, Jean, and Ganyu come out with a little blood on their clothes, but they were hugged by their respective partners. That surprised them. But after a second they happily reciprocated the hug of their partners. But Raiden spoke. "Raiden, Well, that was all for today. Now you can go to sleep please, she said so everyone could see Izuku snap his fingers so the girls who loved the boys would be healed and get up to look at the scene where the boys were hugging their partners. That made them very jealous, but before they did anything the memories of the fight they had came to them, and they got scared because of that, so they put that aside and everyone went to sleep while I walked Rain and Ino. Oh, see, Izuku, the boys and their partners talking about what they will see tomorrow. Izuku, I say look at the duck mission, he said with a smile so that those of the Celestial End team blushed with embarrassment, but everyone even they nodded at that. So we went to our houses/mansions to sleep for tomorrow. The super duper duck and a farewell. Everyone was waking up to go take a bath, brush their teeth, have breakfast and put on clothes, then they went to the movie theater where we were. I was with Raiden, Ash, Ino, Izuku and the boys with their partners, and Izuku spoke. Izuku, well people, before we start, we have an announcement to make, Izuku said seriously. Everyone was surprised by that, but they went to their seats to listen to what we had to say, and Belle spoke. Belle, well, what we have to say is that when this reaction ends they will have to go to their respective dimensions because everything is chaos, Belle said seriously, leaving everyone surprised, but someone asked, Anoki, what do you mean everything is chaos? The leader of the rock village asked doubtfully, so Naruto could speak. Naruto, what happens is that everyone found out that you are not in their dimensions. That's why chaos broke out, in the case of ours. All the villages are in crisis because you said pointing to the Kages are not in their posts, so they put a substitute so that everything is in order, but it was the opposite, since the substitutes are very cruel tyrants, and hungry for power, and that is why they started a war between the 5 great villages and all are almost on the verge of destruction, explained the celestial general of the ninjas and assassins to those of his world, so that they are in shock about it, but they got angry with the substitutes they put in their places in the case of the Kages. Issei. In the case of our world, everything in the supernatural world is going to shit because there is no one to lead the factions, so they are thinking of revealing themselves to the human world, but to be honest that is the best because that way they can get to know each other better. But if I were you I would kill years of advice because you would not let a relationship between a supernatural being and a human be accepted, explained and said the celestial general of Case and Hope to those of his world, so that they are in shock about it, but they took Issei's word to kill the councils because they are irritating them with their requests to make hybrids with other races more to searchers, but Issei made a sign to Tatsumi who understood and Tatsumi made a portal where the DxD girls came out, where Issei snapped his fingers so that they regain their sanity and know what they are talking about, and they were surprised but did not say anything. Tatsumi, in our case, everything is getting much worse than when the child was on the throne, said the celestial general of absolute hell and devils, pointing at the child. I don't remember his name, XDD, so that everyone in his world is in shock because of it. Izumi, in the case of our world, the villains are rising from the ashes since the heroes are gone. The crime rate has risen to 98.99%, said the celestial general of the justice of life and death to those of her world, so that they are in absolute shock. Bell, in the case of our world, the dungeon monsters are coming to the surface, but the guards, like the adventurers who are in Oreo, are killing them. But every day they are stronger to the point that the gods who are in Oreo had to seal the dungeon. The celestial general of the conquest and heroes said seriously to those in his world, so that they are in shock about it. Ale, that's why after this reaction you'll have to go back to your world so that everything returns to normal. But leaving that aside, today you'll see the most shameful mission of the Celestial End team. He said the first thing seriously, but the last thing with grace, to leave everyone except those of us who knew about it with our eyes wide open but paid attention to the screen that turned on. Inside the screen, the Heavenly End team could be seen atop a large snow-white dragon with blue lightning flying above the clouds. Off-screen, Great Red in Office. Impossible is wider the white lightning dragon, said Great Red in Office, surprised because one of the first dragons of the dimensions is with one of them. All the others except those who knew about that dragon were surprised by that, but those of Oreo were scared because that dragon was much bigger than the black dragon of their world. But someone spoke. Hey, do you know that dragon? The Reikage asked with doubt, looking at Grand Red in Office. Great Red, he is one of the first dragons of the dimensions. He is the one who created lightning in the dimensions, also the magic of lightning among other things related to electricity, and he is the progenitor of the dragons that uses the power of lightning. The dragon god of dreams explained to everyone so that they would be in shock by that information, but they decided to look at the screen to see what happens. Inside the screen, Issei, Why'd leave us here please? Asked the brown-haired so that the white dragon nodded so that Issei could speak again. Well guys, we have to go down to walk, so I'll see you downstairs, he said to jump off the dragon to transform into a gray demon with 6 wings, 2 gray horns, claws on his hands and gray feet to go to a specific place. Without the sword. Bell, wait idiot! The albino shouted to also jump off the dragon to transform into a black demon like the eternal night with spectral crimson red wings with claws on his hands and feet, crimson red, a long tail black like the eternal night but at the tip crimson red with 6 horns black like the eternal night on the outside and crimson red inside, and some parts of his body white like light to go where Issei. Naruto, these idiots, but what can you do to them? Here I go, he said and shouted the last thing to jump off the dragon to transform into a black demon with bright red with 2 wings and with claws on his hands and feet to go where Bell and Issei. Without the sword. Izumi, these idiots, said to jump off the dragon to transform into a kind of mix of a demon and an angel with 2 pairs of blood red wings and claws on his hands and feet to go where Naruto, Bell and Issei. Without the energy blades. Tatsumi, well, see you whiter, he said to the dragon, who nodded to jump off the dragon to transform into a black demon with green hair as white as snow, 2 sharp horns, 2 pairs of angel wings black on top and green on the bottom, a dragon tail with a sharp tip, and claws on the gray hands and green feet to go where Izumi, Naruto, Bell and Issei. Off screen. Everyone except those who knew. What the buck happened to you? Shouted everyone except those who knew about the devil trigger, looking at the boys, and the first to speak was Issei. Issei, that is called devil trigger, our demonic transformation in my case, Bell and Naruto said calmly, the leader of the Celestial End team with Lupin on his legs like Bell with Mona and Naruto with Jean. But what he said surprised his acquaintances, but Izumi spoke. Izumi, in my case it would be angel trigger, my demonic angel transformation, said the green flash on Luis's legs so that his acquaintances like angels and demons are surprised by that. But Tatsumi spoke. Tatsumi, in my case it would be demon angelic dragon trigger, my transformation from demonic dragonic angel, said the bearer of the nemesis katana with Ganyu on his legs so that his acquaintances like the angels, demons and dragons present are more surprised. Izuku, in fact I also have a transformation of that type, but I call it dragonic human trigger, my human dragon transformation, said Izuku, to transform into a mix of a dragon with a black human with a black tail, but with a bright green mane with 2 dragon wings with black membrane at the tips of the wings with sharp beaks, but bright green wings with claws on their hands and feet. Without the sword. Everyone was stunned by Izuku's human dragon transformation but saw that he detransformed back into his human form to look at the screen. Everyone else did the same as him and looked at the screen. Inside the screen, the boys reached the ground to detransform into their human forms and Bell spoke. Bell, so what do we have to do, Issei? The deputy leader of the Celestial End team asked his leader with doubt. Issei, we have to kill a duck, was what he said so that the entire Celestial End team had a WTF face, and Naruto spoke. Naruto, well, just a duck shouldn't be a big deal, said the sniper of the dimensions normally. But then Issei took a picture of the duck. Off screen. Everyone except the Celestial End team. I came to ask Raiden, Ino and Izuku, what the hell is with that duck? They all shouted looking at me. Ale. I have no idea what they gave that duck to make him act so drunk, I said with a poker face so everyone had a drop of sweat on their necks, but they looked at the screen. Inside the screen. Bell, what the hell happened to that duck? I asked with my eyes wide open because of that duck's muscles. Issei, I have no idea why he has muscles. But we have to kill him because this duck spends his time hitting every living being he sees, Issei said seriously to receive a nod from the Celestial End team. Tatsumi, and how will we find him? It's not as if he appeared out of nowhere, said the leader of the Infernus and Sparta clan, but out of nowhere he was sent crashing into a tree by a blow from the duck they were looking for. Off screen. Everyone was laughing at that because when he said it the duck appeared giving him a nod except Tatsumi, who was in a corner with a depressive cloud with Ganyu patting him on the back to try to calm him down, which he managed to do, and then go to his seat so Ganyu could sit on his lap. That made the Night Ride girls jealous, but they remembered the beating Ganyu gave them that scared them a little, but they let him pass to look at the screen. Inside the screen. Izumi, I had to say it, right Tatsumi? Asked the green flash to put on a purple mask and disappear in a green flash to appear behind the duck to hit him, sending him against a tree, breaking it in the process. The mask he put on. Naruto went to help Tatsumi, who spoke. Tatsumi, Take that, hurt me now, I'll make it roast duck, he said in pain and anger, to put on a white mask with black lines and a red gem in the center, to take out a bow black as eternal night, to create an arrow with fire, to shoot an arrow so that it divides into many arrows, but the duck showed no signs of affecting him. That frustrated him. The mask he put on, the bow I take out. Naruto. Well, let the fun begin, he said, to put on a black mask with blue stripes in the shape of a cat. I think I don't know what the shape of the mask is called. XD. To take out a black katana with a scarlet red flame on the blade, to launch himself against the duck who got up to hit him with a tree that he pulled out of the ground, but Naruto cut it to give the duck a superficial wound, who punched him and crashed him against the rock, breaking it in the process. The mask he put on, the katana I took out, off screen. All the gods. Impossible is black blood absolute, and the katana of the abyss. All the gods shouted, surprised, because two people have a legendary bow and a legendary katana, but someone spoke. Kushina. What's up with that bow and that katana? The bloody Heavenin asked with doubt. Mika. What happens is that the bow is a legendary bow, in fact the most powerful of all, since it can summon arrows of any type of arrows such as fire, lightning, darkness, or light, among other types of very powerful arrows, and the katana is capable of opening the abyss just by sticking it in the ground and thinking about it. Mika explained to all those who did not know so that they would be surprised, but someone spoke. Sasuke. Dobe, give me that katana, only an elite Uchiha can have it, he exclaimed with great arrogance, but two arrows were stuck in his eyes so that everyone looked at Lumen and Luis, who had two bows. Lumen's was white with two orbs at the top where the arrow came out, with yellow and dark blue in some parts with the light blue string, and Luis's was white with black and bright purple with the black and purple string. The Lumen arc, Luis's bow, Zeus, DXD, the bow of the stars and the bow of the abyss. The leader of the Greek faction shouted, surprised because they have two legendary bows, but he remembered the Ganyu bow and was shocked because it was the bow of the primordial forest like all the other gods. Lumen. Nobody asks things of our shitty emo Avenger friend said with a look that scared the men present except for Issei, Bell, Naruto, Tatsumi, Yo, Ash and Izuku, but they saw that Mona snapped her fingers so that Sasuke would resurrect without the arrows in his eyes with a face of horror, but when she looked at Lumen's look she got more scared but looked at the screen with fear like the other men and women also looked at the screen. Inside the screen, Bell. This duck is hard to get through, he said, to put on a black mask with the forehead in a bright amber color, bright blue eyes and two fangs coming out of the mouth, to take out a gray katana with a blade at the bottom and a blue top to appear behind the duck to give it a combination of cuts that the last one threw it against another tree. The mask he put on, the katana I took out, off screen. Freya Daimachi, that is the katana of hellish chaos, said the goddess Freya, surprised that the person she wanted for her family has the second most powerful katana in the dimensions. I have the first one, which is Yamato XD. Everyone who knew about that katana except Mikami, Ash, Rain, and Ino, Izuku and the boys with their partners were surprised by that, but someone spoke. Bet, what's up with that katana? I see it as a normal katana? Bet said with doubt. Loki, Daimachi. What happens, Bet, is that this katana was forged by the most powerful gods of the dimensions, but none of them could lift it, but the wisest goddess of all dimensions said that only those with a pure and just heart, with a pure and just soul, with a goal like protecting a loved one, will be able to lift it and use it in combat, and from what I see, Bell has what he asks to lift it, the goddess of lies explained to her son for those who did not know. That will be surprised but looked at the screen. Inside the screen, Issei. Let's finish this because we have to go back to the mansion quickly, said the leader of the chaotic clan, to put on a black Tsuchigami mask with two red horns, an open red forehead, red eyes, fangs and red teeth, to take out the sword he had since he was little, to launch himself against the duck that cut off one of his muscular arms. The mask he put on. The duck gave a grunt of pain, but his voice was thick that surprised the team of the Celestial End, but they all decided to kill him as quickly as possible, so they took out their swords/katanas and launched themselves at the duck. A little while later you could see the whole area where they were without trees, and you could see the team of the Celestial End with wounds that were closing by white flames like light, to look at the duck who was without arms and legs, with his chest open without his internal organs and with his head open, and Tatsumi spoke. Tatsumi. Finally, this son of a hitch is super tough, he said, very tired, falling to his knees like the others, but Whiter arrived and Issei spoke. Issei. Let's go, but first, he said, creating purple flames in his hand, flames of purgatory. He shouted, throwing a sphere of purple fire at the duck's corpse so that it would be completely consumed without leaving anything of the duck or the ashes the fire left. So they got on Whiter and the dragon took flight to the mansion, and there the screen went off. Off screen, Ash. Well, that was all. You can say goodbye to the boys since we will send them to their dimensions because of the chaos that is happening, Ash said seriously, so that everyone who was there could say goodbye to the boys by hugging them or giving them their blessings from Zeus, Daimachi, and Hera, Daimachi, like Minato and Kushina among other people. So they said goodbye to the boys with a smile so that they could be teleported to their respective dimensions, and Issei spoke. Hey, now we're going home, guys, said the goddess princess empress of heavenly eternity and purple lightning to everyone to attend, so we went to our homes.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.